In this video, we are going to be adding and subtracting fractions on the number line. So your I can statement is I can add and subtract fractions on the number line. Okay, so previously you learned how to write rational numbers on the number line. So we are going to recall that by labeling the number line below. So here on my number line, I have 0 to 1. Now, if I count the intervals, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I have 12 intervals. And if you remember in the previous lesson, we take the number that we are given, 1, and we divide it by the number of intervals. Well, 1 divided by 12 is 1/12. So that tells me that each interval is increasing by a value of 1/12. So I started with 1/12 and then it moved on. It increased to 2/12, 3/12, all the way to 1, which is 12 out of 12 or 12 over 12. Okay, now I am going to simplify or reduce the fractions. So here I have 1/6. This one becomes 1/4. I can reduce 4 over 12 is 1/3. Can't reduce 5 over 12, but I can reduce 6 over 12 is 1/2. 7/12 stays the same. 8/12 is 2/3. 9/12 can reduce to 3/4. 5 over 12 can reduce to 5 over 6. And 11 over 12 stays the same. Okay, so similar to the last lesson with integers, we can use the number line to help us add and subtract fractions. So let's look at that. So here I have a number line, and I'm going to be adding and subtracting fractions on this number line. But I first want to label my number line. So here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 intervals. I have number 1, so this is a value of 1 on the number line. So each interval is worth 1/8. So I'm going to go ahead and label that 1/8. 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, and so on. And then this one would be 8 over 8, which reduces to 1. Okay, I'm going to simplify the fractions that I can reduce. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing to the left, which you've learned. I'm just going to write this out quickly. So these are the negative values. So you can see it's the same as the right side of 0, but since we're now looking at the left side, these are my negative values. And if you don't remember this, go ahead and look at my previous video and it will explain more into detail how to complete this, okay? All right, so now we're going to look at a problem. I have 3/4 minus 7/8. So I'm going to start with 3/4 and I'm going to locate that on the number line. So let's see, 3/4, I can see it right over here. So this is 6 over 8 is 3/4 reduced. So I'm going to put a dot right there. And I'm going to subtract 7/8. Well, if I look at the number line, I know 7/8 is right here, but I'm subtracting 7/8. I'm not going to 7/8. 7/8 is 7 intervals. So what that means is I'm going to want to go to the left because I'm subtracting 7 intervals. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I land at negative 1/8. So that tells me my answer is negative and 1/8. Okay, let's look at problem number 2. I have negative 5/8 minus 1/4. So I'm going to start with negative 5/8. I'm going to locate that on the number line. So I know it's negative, so I can see on the left side of 0. So here's negative 5/8, put a dot, and now I'm going to subtract 1/4. So what that means is I'm going to take away 1/4, okay? So if I look at 1/4 right here, that is 1, 2, 2 intervals. So I'm taking away 2 intervals means if I'm subtracting 1/4, I'm actually adding a negative. So I am going 2 intervals to the left. And I stop at negative 7/8. So therefore, my answer is negative 7/8. Okay, so Let's look at another example. If you want to pause the video, you can go ahead and pause the video and complete the problem on your own, and then unpause to compare and see your answer, okay? So go ahead and pause that now. All right, so on my number line, I can see 1 and 2. So if I count, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That tells me that each interval has a value of 1, 6. So I'm going to keep adding 1, 6 all the way. There's 5, 6. Then this would be 6 over 6, which is 1. And if I keep going, this would be 12 over 6, which is 2. Okay, so now I'm going to simplify all of the fractions that can reduce. 4, 6, I know is 2/3. Come over here. I'm going to convert to mixed numbers. And then also I can see that this one can reduce. 1 1/3. 9, 6 as a mixed number is 1 3, 6, which reduces to 1 1/2. 10 over 6 is 1 4, 6. That reduces to 1 2/3. 11 over 6 is 1 5, 6, okay? So I have wrote all the values on the number line. So let's look at the problem. So number 1 is 1/3 plus 1 6. So I'm going to locate 1/3 on the number line. So let's look for 1/3, and I can see it right here. So I'm going to put a dot right there. Now I'm going to be adding 1 6. Well, 1 6 is one interval. And if I'm adding a positive, I'm going to the right. So if I add 1 6, I just go to the right one interval, and I am at 1/2. So my answer is 1/2. Okay, so let's look at problem number 2. I have 2/3 minus negative 1 and 1 6. So here I am subtracting a negative. So I'm going to first locate 2/3 on the number line. So I can see that 2/3 is right here. So I'm going to go up and put a dot. And then again, I am subtracting a negative. So think about that. If I'm subtracting a negative, that means it's actually becoming more positive. So I want to be moving to the right, okay? So 1 and 1 6. Well, 1 and 1 6 is right here. It's 7 intervals. So I want to move 7 intervals to the right. So here I go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I land on 1 and 5, 6. So my answer is 1 and 5, 6. Okay, last problem. 1 2/3 minus 1/2. So I'm going to start at 1 2/3. I'm going to locate that on the number line. So I can see 1 2/3 over here. So I am going to place a dot, and then I am going to subtract a half. So minus 1/2. So I'm subtracting a positive value. So I'm actually going to be going to the left. So 1/2, if I look over here, I can see 1/2 is right here. That's from 0. That's 1, 2, 3 intervals. So that tells me that I'm going to be going to the left 3 intervals. So I go 1, 2, 3. I stopped at 1 and 1 6. So that is my answer. And that is it.